the Human Rights Committee, which is a body of experts that the UN, including Uganda, has appointed as experts to monitor states' compliance under the ICCPR, has stated categorically that criminal defamation and such laws should not be used in a way that they obstruct criticism of public authorities. That, in fact, the intention of criminal defamation, a law inherited from the British, its very essence apparently is to protect the integrity of public officials, where apparently they are criticised and they feel they're wrong. Right. Now, when there is a civil law recourse for public authorities, that public authorities can have a civil law access to deal with these issues. Criminal defamation and other criminals should not be used to protect the integrity of public officials. Indeed, based on the principle that public officials should tolerate more criticism. Indeed, some criticism than every person, and that is the principle. So we are saying that laws such as this, in similar vein to the court's reasoning in sedition, and in similar vein to the court's reasoning in relation to the crime of publication of false news, should be scrapped off the statute books. And beyond that, I think the other point is that, of course, there are other laws that you can think are recognizable crimes. And indeed, the Media Council, Mr. Paul Mukasa, the secretary, told us that he's very happy that government resort to having criminal cases against journalists where there's a grievance instead of dealing with these things extrajudicially. Now, however, that masks the point. When you charge somebody with forgery,
yes,
as a journalist, for attempting to publish a letter written by the president, when in a nutshell, the essence of that letter is indeed what is valid,
yes,
then the point is missed.
It's
the chilling message that then goes out there is that, look over your head. You're going to be charged with something.
Right.
So don't dare just write left and right and center. And that is what we are saying trumps against these rights.
It's kind of Damocles sword hanging over your head. Mr. Kasingye, let's talk about something that's going on right now, preventive arrest.
Yes.
Why do you do this? You should leave this man to work. He says he wants to go to work. Then you say you're preventing him by arresting him in his home.
Yeah.
Detention center.
Under the Criminal Procedure Code, I forget the citation. It provides for preventive arrest. Anybody who have got information and knowledge that is about to commit a crime. Let me tell you, the most important.
You look at his nose over.
The most important duty for me, if you may ask, under Article 212 of the police is prevention.
It's a little bit like the idle and disorderly one that you don't want to use.
Look at this. Prevention. Don't wait for somebody to commit an offense. Don't let a taxi to make a U-turn and then you say, you made a U-turn and you arrest me. I mean, tell me.
Like it's going to make a U-turn.
Yeah, if I stand there and I say, you don't turn here, I have prevented you from turning and making an offense.
Same thing with preventive arrest.
Exactly.
Right now happening in Kasingye.
Exactly.
It's been happening last week.
Yes.
Let's talk about the proposed public order management bill.
Yeah.
Is it a popular thing? Is it something that we need? 3 people meeting, call the IGP.
I tell you what, everybody recognizes that the Constitution and indeed the international the ICCPR, the Convention on civil and political rights.
Yes.
I mean, provides people with the rights of and freedoms to express themselves, dissenting views, and that is not in contention at all.
Yes.
However, my problem I find is that people think that then it should not be legislated about. We all know that, for example, there are, and of course in his report, Amnesty International also points out that there are rights that are not absolute. We don't want to hide behind absolute rights in order to stifle, as their report says. But of course there must be certain regulations how these rights is going to be enjoyed. Let me cite something that I found very, very important, and I think they were spot on. They say these rights must be, one, provided by the law.
Yes.
Provided by the law.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you are not going to come up with a law, so to me that is double standards. Two, they say, and only for certain legitimate purposes, namely respect of rights and or reputations of others, rights and freedoms of others, that you are enjoying these rights in relation to the rights of others. And thirdly, and also for protection of certain specific public interests such as national security and public order must be demonstrated necessary for that purpose. This is Amnesty International coming up and saying, yeah, this is what should be entailed in that one. For me, therefore, it's not about that the bill should be withdrawn. When a public policy is being discussed and debated, there are very many people who come up with so many views about what they want the law to be.
Yes.
Now, the draftsman tries as much as possible to ensure that they have accommodated this. Now, there is going to be an opportunity for the Uganda Parliament and the legislative arm of government to say, now, look at this in consistency with the Constitution. No, we can't have this. I'm not saying that you just allow everything just to come in just because the legislature is going to come in. No. But the purpose is really to make sure that you have, for example, you regulate, public proceedings, and nobody really is questioning about that because there must be regulation. Then we can even talk about the kind of regulation. Are you going to use maximum force? Are you going to use, violence? Are you going to use firearms with live bullets, with the pink spray? And I think those are the things that we can talk about, but still there is a question of regulation. And I don't know, Edmond, any country in the whole world
which doesn't have regulation,
which do not have regulations on public processions. So let's discuss on issues about is this does this infringe on the rights and whatever, but to say it should not come is absolutely self-defeat.
Of course, somebody has said, and I've read documents to that effect, that the Human Rights Commission was asked to prepare this bill, and then somebody in the middle inserted what some people might call poison clauses.
No. I think as I have said, that there were wide consultation. Uganda Human Rights Commission was part of that. Right. The police was part of that. Civil society organizations. I have here a copy of a report that was made by Hurinet,
yes.
Which means that Hurinet also was following about this.
Right.
So to me, different parties
Hurinet would have agreed to some of this, everything.
Yeah, if you read Hurinet, of course they say there are 12 reasons why this bill should not come out in its current form.
So because of the poison clause.
Yes, but they are not saying it should not see the light of the day. They are saying it should not come out in the current form. And for me, I'm comfortable with that. But also when you look into their other issues, they have said, yes, we agree with this. And that is what I want to see people talking about.
The ones that need to be expunged. Very briefly, before we talk about something else.
I think the point is that Kasingye tells it very nicely. I think where we disagree very strongly is that when the bill, and we've looked at the 2009 version of the bill, we've looked at the 29th April version which was tabled in Parliament last week, and we've looked at the guidelines developed by the Uganda Human Rights Commission in which the police and civil society actors participated. I think we strongly say that this bill should be withdrawn. I think it shouldn't even be considered on the table for the simple reason that the very point that Afande Kasingye raises, in fact, that is it demonstrably necessary? Are the measures proposed proportionate? Does it allow for a spontaneous kind of protest to be possible, or does it put all these things at the unilateral whim of the Inspector General of Police and his authorized officers? The answer is emphatically yes. It seeks to introduce through the back door what has been declared unconstitutional, Section 32(2) of the Police Act, which Mwanga Chivumbi. You see, this country does not lack. It doesn't lack guidance of this issue.
Yes.
The Constitutional Court's judgment, if you read it, and it was a unanimous judgment, is very, very, very material on the deliberation of these issues. The Uganda Human Rights Commission guidelines that is alluded to are very, very, very progressive, and indeed parts of it have been sort of put in Part 2 of the Act with regard to the use of force. However, Part 1 of the Act is simply a reincarnation of the 2009 version, and it's simply that you need to write to the Inspector General of Police within 7 to whatever 14 days, and in his whimsical way, then he does what? He can allow you to meet at whatever time he deems fit. And that's the point that we are taking offense with. I think the other point is, don't forget, and this I don't think Afande Kasingye has commented on, that there's a general ban on for all forms of protest as we are speaking in Uganda.
A general ban
on political protest is not written anywhere. But there's no ban. You can't hold a political protest in this country.
Right.
You can't do that. That's the effect of the situation. Now, coming against that backdrop, and coming against the backdrop of a proposal in 2009 that has not really barely changed and has disregarded quite a huge part of the Uganda Human Rights Commission guidelines, you have to then suspect that what is going on here. And those are the questions that we are raising, and we are saying that the first step is to withdraw this bill. Seek guidance on the Mwanga Chivumbi Constitutional Court judgment case. You don't even need to point to the ICCPR. Just point to the Mwanga Chivumbi judgment and you'll get guidance on that. Mere notification of the Inspector General of Police to hold a protest is not illegal. That in and of itself cannot be said to be unconstitutional. Yes. The issue is if that kind of procedure turns out to be prohibitive, it turns out to be a licensing procedure rather than a regulation procedure, and that is unacceptable because of the context in which we are operating.
Let's talk about the freedom of expression. The government says, oh, you can't find such freedom anywhere else. 200 radio stations, 4 dozen TV stations. What do you say to that?
Unfortunately, I don't think Afande Kasingye will be able to answer some of the allegations we are raising in the report, which allegations are credible. I think the first point is that in the last 10 years, Uganda has come a long way. 257 registered FM stations.
Yes.
That number is beyond any number in the East and Central Africa region. 50 print media outlets. Another 50 electronic media TV stations registered in this country. And indeed, the radio stations are very active if you go out of this country. But the point is, there's a lot of self-censorship around the radio stations. We know of journalists who've been served with letters, which we've seen, written from the Broadcasting Council, being accused of inciting violence and then being put out of work and out of employment. We know we've interviewed, and some of the cases are in this report. We know of cases of station managers candidly telling us that community-based activists, for example in Port Portal, cannot discuss certain issues because the RISO officer in that region has called and said you cannot host this particular group of people. So what use is it having so many hundreds of radio stations when there is a marked general prevalence of self-censorship? We know during the elections certain opposition activists could not access certain radio stations. It is a fact.
Well, there were problems with generators running out of fuel and so on.
Ostensibly.
Yeah, but let's hear from the listeners. Spectrum on Radio 1, our numbers, Honorable Mr. Kasingye will respond. 0414 348 111, 0312 260 390, 0312 261 390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you are calling from.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
I'm called Stephen and I'm calling from here, Watule.
Yes.
But thank you for that program and bringing those two gentlemen on board. They're actually very good discussions. But it is in the public eye that Uganda police is also behaving like a political party. So I don't know how Afande Kasingye can explain that.
Spectrum, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, your name?
My name is Ore. I'm calling from Entebbe.
Yes.
Good evening, Brother Kasingye.
Good evening, Mr. Wade. Good evening.
First of all, I want to commend the police because there's a lot of improvement since the other time when there was a lot of criticism. I know I was also part of the people who criticized the police, the way they were handling, especially when they mishandled the journalists. I bashed them, and I've seen of late there's some improvement, except there are areas where I think most of the policemen don't understand the law, and they don't understand the area where they're supposed to be. I would also like to see the Human Rights Commission or the Human Rights, the International, changing their approach of reporting. Like rightly the Kasingye said, some of these issues we must share with them. You know what I do normally when I see there's some abuse by police to the workers? I interpret the police, especially the Inspector General, and I want to thank him because most of the time the doors are open. And there are some of the areas I want Amnesty International. We should not just bash them. Let's interface with them, dialogue with them, and then when they are home, we come out with a concrete report. That is my take this evening.
Spectrum, hello?
Yes, to me, Mark.
Yes.
You see, I'm a little bit surprised. Because with all this overwhelming evidence that the amnesty is putting on table of the police, I expected the police to be shocked and even apologize on behalf of Ugandans and begin saying that no, we are going to immediately bring up an investigation to try and see all these government organs who are responsible for infringing on the rights of Ugandans be brought to book. The police is going to immediately handle that job. But unfortunately, the police is being dismissive of all this overwhelming evidence that the Amnesty International has brought on table. Then the other thing I'm asking the Amnesty International is, why don't we stop this office work and say now that the legal organs of Uganda have failed the Ugandans, why don't you try and incorporate in international organs like the Interpol and the ICC, such that all these government officials and organs are brought to book? Goodbye.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Your name?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening to you.
I'm okay. My name is Connie. I'm calling from Nigeria.
Connie, yes.
I wanted to put to Mr. Kasingye
Yes, please.
that the preventive arrest is illegal and unconstitutional. I don't see any crime involved in walking, and police persist in saying that when doctor walks, there are crowds. But I've been in jams for crowds for the presidential convoy, for Uganda claims at Nambolo, and none of those crowds has been treated as a crime. So, in as much as he's a presidential candidate of this country, he has support, and if that support brings about crowds and traffic, so be it. It's the police's role to manage that traffic. We endure traffic all the time for various reasons. So I think that preventive arrest is unconstitutional.
All right, let's get back to one final caller, then we'll hear from you. Yes. Spectrum, hello.
Hello, morning. Good evening.
Good evening, actually. Your name?
Yeah, this is Stefano calling from Rungulja.
Yes, Stefano.
I think first I want to recommend the work which is run by the police, because sometimes I want the amnesty report does not talk about the civilian who threw a stone against the police, and sometimes they stole our property. For instance, my property we have stolen the last time work at Woko campaign, but they have not come in there. You have not wrote that in their report to try to criticize also to make sure that this civilian also behave peacefully. But finally, I think you cannot, where in a country where you have more than 200 radio stations, and remember those sometimes also they abuse their rights. Also, they should be regulated and guided how also to write to not instead some of them they incite tribalism, violence, which is wrong also in this country can run into a wars like it was in Kenya and in Rwanda.
All right. Mr. Kasingye.
I want to agree with Mr. Owere that and it underpins the point that I made earlier, that there is need for dialogue. There is need for dialogue. There is need because I remember the journalists through I think it is Uganda journalists safety committee and something like that. We've met several times and we've been able to mitigate. We've been able to handle, able to mitigate some of the problems that accrued between us and the journalists. I think that is the way to go, and it does not in any way say that, for example, if a police officer has committed a crime against the journalist, it is the view of the police, it is condoned, and it is. I mean, I want to tell you that we come out, harshly. We have the professional standards unit. We have under the Inspector General of Police, we have the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of special duties, who has been given a mandate on discipline. Personally, also as a political commissar, have been going around, to try to orient our police officers towards the way they behave with. I want to agree with that, and I think that that is the way. But such reports that come and incriminate, the police and, the police that and that kind of thing, I think they don't help in any way.
But you have people like Omara, this policeman who was telling people of that. It was like he was judging and passing sentence at the same time. You can't go in because you've called me a name.
Those are the things that we have to continuously, work on and make sure that we come up with a professional and, police officer that is efficient and effective to serve the public. Right. Then the other issue of saying that I should have apologized, I think your questions were general. They were not saying on this and that and that, and I didn't in any way say that I'm condoning this and that and we did this and that, and I would be the last person in the police to say that we did that and try to give it justification when it is actually wrong, and we can't do that to Mune. I want to say that. And
Connie says preventive arrest is illegal. Stephen says UPF is like a political party.
No, definitely. If we start even intellectually to dissect what a political party is, I don't think we are there. Okay. But I still see under the Criminal Procedure Code, the preventive arrest, it is there. Whether it is constitutional or unconstitutional, yet again, that is what we talked about. That is some of the things that need to be looked at. But I think it is the primary duty of the police to make sure that they prevent people from committing offences, other than waiting on the sidelines.
Mr. Odongo.
I think I agree with a lot of what the callers are saying. I think what I want to address is the impression that Amnesty International does not engage in dialogue. It is a misconception. The process of gathering information for some of these things has gone on since the last 5 years. Concrete research missions were done in December and July, August of this year. That is quite a long time. We painstakingly write letters requesting for meetings. It is amazing and and interesting how difficult, for example, it is to secure an official meeting to discuss issues. I wish the government at large and governments all over the world were very open to discussing these things. Unfortunately, the scenario is that it is not so. That is not the point. Half the time with this report, what is the next process? We don't stop at reporting. Amnesty International is a movement. It is an organization that does not receive funding from anybody, but from 3 million people walking in the streets of Europe, South Asia, Africa, contributing a shilling, $1 to be a member of the organization. These people write petitions and appeals to authorities all over the world, Ugandan authorities included. They write appeals and letters to and petition their authorities. That is the strength of Amnesty. Amnesty's strength is those members. And so we can't just stop at writing reports and just bashing government. It behoves of us to have direct targeted lobbying. It behoves of us to report some of these things to the relevant UN mechanisms, and we do, and we are listened to because of the credibility that Amnesty has built over the years. So we mix dialogue and we mix what we do best, which is naming and shaming, and it works. It has worked in most countries, and it has worked blended very well with diplomatic kind of discussions and engagement at the UN level, at the national level, and we'll continue to do that. What I think we want to appeal is that governments, the police included, can be more free to meet us, so that noise is not made when a report is launched, but we engage at the beginning. So when we ask questions about the 10 people who died in April and May because of the use of lethal force, we have concrete statistics about the action that has been taken in each and every individual case, so that this report can reflect that. So we can say that 10 people died, including a 2-year-old, and so these officers have been investigated, were found culpable, or were found not responsible. Half the time what happens is your letters go into the intro and the next thing is in the rubbish bin. So what is Amnesty International supposed to do? Amnesty has to go and report what it has as its research, which is what this report is about.
Thank you very much, Dr. Godfrey Odongo. Dr. Odongo is from the Africa Regional Office of Amnesty International. Thank you for coming to Spectrum tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Assistant Inspector General of Police Asan Kasingye, Head of the Police Commissariat. Thank you for coming to Spectrum, sir.
Thank you so much, and we shall be open to Mr. Odongo for the first, because he has never come to us and said we want dialogue. The last time he called me, I was in Cape Town, and he said he wanted to interview me. So I think from here, if we go and open a new chapter of making sure that we dialogue, that will be the best thing that we hopefully that will do.
Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in the English language. Do stay tuned to Radio 1.
With me, I wanna be.